All right, it's February 27, 2015, and I'm here with my client Binyam. We're in Ramsey County District Court in Minnesota, and Binyam was facing a first-degree controlled substance case with a mandatory, presumptive commit to prison for 98 months. This is a case, Binyam, where initially you had another lawyer, and there were some problems with that representation. He had what's called a suppression hearing or an omnibus hearing, trying to throw out evidence based on what we believe to be an illegal traffic stop. Unfortunately, his former lawyer didn't request all of the discovery and didn't turn over every stone, and had a hearing without a very key piece of evidence that really harmed Binyam's case going forward. You were able to discover that something wasn't going right with your former lawyer.
Yes.
And then came over to hire me instead. And we took it over, and Binyam, sure enough, the evidence that we uncovered that the former attorney didn't go get really made a big difference in terms of, how the evidence was presented to the court after that.
Yep.
And we found contradictions in officer statements and other matters that probably, had they been earlier presented initially, probably would have swayed the judge's opinion about whether your case should have been thrown out or not.
Yes.
But we had to move forward anyway, and at that point in time, after some legal strategy, came to a decision to do what's called a loaf and back, where you preserve your right to appeal a pretrial suppression ruling. Because if the evidence comes in and there's no question of guilt if the evidence comes in, that's another way that someone could say, wait, I think my case should be thrown out, but I'm not going to have a jury trial because I want to have the right to argue for a lower sentence. So I'll do a loaf and back and preserve my right to appeal that pretrial decision, and that's what we did here. So then the real fight turned to whether or not you're supposed to get the 98 months in prison. This is what's called a presumptive commit, meaning you're supposed to go to prison under the law, not as a maximum, but actually for 98 months. The maximum's even much higher than that. And the prosecution argued that based on prior events in your life, as well as the great amount of drugs that they believe existed in this case, that it really warranted you going to prison for 98 months. We became sentencing advocates and put together letters from people that support you, and you did a lot of work on your own for that as well as changing some things around in your life. And at the end of the day, why don't you tell them what we were able to do?
Well, at the end of the day, it went from 98 months to a year in the workhouse and probation. So I feel like I won. I didn't have to go to prison. You know what I'm saying? So I was looking at a minimum of 10 years in prison to being in the workhouse and being able to keep my job and be out here with my family. So I'm thankful for that.
Is there anything you can say about, you've dealt with lawyers before,
Mm-hmm.
anything you can say about whether I'm different or not, and if so, what makes me different? In case people are wondering, any lawyer can say they're good at what they do or they care or whatever. I think it always means more when it's coming from the clients that really deal with the lawyer rather than the lawyers talking about themselves. So if you want to offer anything, anybody, go ahead.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Since the first day I've met Ryan and his team, I already felt a sense of urgency from them. It wasn't just it wasn't just about the money. It was actually to try to get justice for me, and they was actually trying to fight. They kept on point. They stayed persistent with the fight. I didn't have to sit there and babysit them or walk them through anything. I've dealt with I've dealt with the judicial system plenty of times, and I can honestly say that they take their job seriously, and he don't like to lose. He does not like to lose. He's serious about his job, and he don't like to lose. I know that for sure. You know what I'm saying? He got a losing complex. He does not like to lose. So and that's the kind of lawyer that you need. So I'm very happy with how everything turned out. I got no complaints, no nothing. I'm blessed. I was blessed to have him as a lawyer, and I'm very thankful. That's all I got to say, really.
Thank you for that. It's also really neat to see somebody's life turn around. And Binyam's doing great things for him and his family. And that's one of my favorite parts about being a lawyer. Not every case gets thrown out of evidence. Not every case ends in a not guilty verdict. We try to make those things happen, but sometimes the cards are stacked. And if that happens, it becomes a matter of sentencing advocacy and trying to help clients turn things around and knowing what's important to them and giving the attention and effort that they deserve. And that's what we bring to every case. So if you have more questions, I'm criminal defense attorney Ryan Pacyga. You can find me at arrestedminnesota.com or at 612-339-5844.
Cool, man.